What if everything you learned about history was wrong? What if the Middle Ages never happened? What if we're actually living in the year 1726? This is the phantom time hypothesis, and it's one of the craziest conspiracy theories ever proposed by a real historian. In 1991, a German historian named Heribert Illig published a paper that shook the academic world. He claimed that nearly 300 years of European history were completely fabricated. The year 614 to 911 AD, the entire Carolingian period, Charlemagne, the Holy Roman Empire. Illig argued that these 300 years never actually happened. They were invented by medieval scribes to align the calendar with the year 1000 AD. Why? For political power, for religious authority, to make the Holy Roman Empire look older and more legitimate. According to Illig, we're not living in 2024. We're living in 1726. Think about that for a second. Everything you know about the Middle Ages, the knights, the castles, the crusades, if Illig is right, it's all a fabrication. 300 years of history, invented by a handful of scribes with parchment and ink.
So what's the evidence? First, the calendar. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar. It skipped 10 days to correct errors. But Illig noticed something strange. The correction should have been 13 days, not 10. 3 days were missing. Where did they go? Second, architecture. Illig claimed there's a lack of archaeological evidence from that period. Buildings, artifacts, and written records from 614 to 911 AD are suspiciously sparse. The Carolingian Renaissance produced almost no physical remains. Third, astronomy. Historical records of solar eclipses from that period don't match astronomical calculations. When scientists calculate where eclipses should have been visible, they don't align with the historical records. Something is wrong with the timeline. Either medieval scribes made mistakes, or they deliberately fabricated history. And if they could fabricate 300 years, what else could they have fabricated?
Most historians reject the theory. They say there's plenty of evidence. Coins, artifacts, written records from multiple cultures. They say Illig misinterpreted the calendar. The missing days can be explained by other errors. They point to archaeological discoveries from that period. They exist, they're just not as numerous as other periods. But Illig supporters argue that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, and the calendar problem is still unresolved. The missing 3 days remain a mystery. Some historians say the transition from the Julian to Gregorian calendar was more complex than Illig assumes, but others admit the anomaly is puzzling. So the debate continues, and the phantom time hypothesis refuses to die, because deep down, we all wonder, how much of history is real?
But here's the real question. If history could be faked by medieval scribes with nothing but parchment and ink, what about today? We have algorithms, artificial intelligence, misinformation, deepfakes. If they could invent 300 years of history, what can we invent with computers and AI? The phantom time hypothesis isn't just a crazy theory, it's a warning. History is written by the victors, and sometimes it's invented by them. In the future, will people look back at our time and wonder what was real? Will they doubt the records we left behind?
So what do you think? Is Heribert Illig a visionary who uncovered a massive historical conspiracy, or is he just a historian who made a mistake? Is the phantom time hypothesis real, or is it just a phantom? One thing is certain. History is not as solid as we think. It is written by people with agendas, and sometimes it is invented by them. The past is not a fixed place. It is a story, and stories can be rewritten. What would you rewrite? Subscribe for more mind-blowing history.